The things that we were terrified of, the early seasons of this show. The world's caught up.
Bing bong.
All right, so I finally finished season 7 of Black Mirror, and I gotta say, I was pretty good. I am a huge fan of Black Mirror. I have wanted more and more episodes of the show ever since it came out, and that initial first episode, which to this day, one of the craziest first episodes of any TV show ever. And as someone that didn't see The Twilight Zone when I was younger, this show has always been something that I've enjoyed. The anthology style where all the stories are something totally different, although they kind of end up somewhat interconnected. But despite that, you could still technically jump into this show at any moment and enjoy an episode without having any prior knowledge about what the show entails. I've seen a lot of people talk about this season as it being a return to form for the show, or it being what Black Mirror was missing these past couple of seasons. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. To me, Black Mirror has always sort of operated in its own genre, with so many episodes being completely different, anything from the run times of the episode to the genre of the episode to whether it's a large story with tons of special effects, a huge sci-fi plot, or a very small story that takes place within someone's apartment and that's it. It kind of is a difficult show to really pin down to say whether it has or hasn't been good, or it's been bad, or there's been good seasons, bad seasons. The whole seasons aspect of Black Mirror I think is strange because every single episode is different, so it doesn't really seem fair to compare one season to the next, when really I think you can make the argument that in all of these seasons there are episodes that people do like and don't like, I think to an equal amount, that would render every season either amazing or terrible based on what the viewer decided was good and bad. My favorite aspect of Black Mirror is just enjoying the ride that these episodes take you on. In fact, there's a quote in one of these episodes that says, "Everybody in this scene is AI. To them, what's happening is real." And I think with a show like Black Mirror, and even, to the world of movies and TVs to a larger extent, but a show like Black Mirror specifically, that quote really stuck out to me because in each of these episodes, what's happening to these people is real. It's all very real. And so I've seen people talk about maybe certain people's acting doesn't feel like it meshed with the story, or certain episodes just felt out of place within what certain people who watch Black Mirror have decided the show is or isn't. And I don't know, I enjoy these stories because when they're happening, they're real. Like, all of these crazy ideas are actually occurring in the worlds these people live in. And on that note, I've also seen some people say that, like, the show's gotten too predictable, or it's not as scary as it used to be. It's not as uncomfortable to watch as it used to be. And while I definitely don't agree, because I think there are some episodes of this show that to this day still stick with me, including episodes from this past season, to me, it just feels like that says a lot more about the audience, because the show hasn't gotten any less messed up over the years. I mean, just the first episode of season 7 has one of the darkest endings the show's ever written, I think. But it says a lot more about how desensitized I think the Black Mirror audience has become to the fact that the things that we were terrified of, the early seasons of this show, the world's caught up, and that's terrifying. The fact that the world has caught up to the point where a show like Black Mirror is not as scary as it used to be, that should frighten people. Like, the fact that some people feel that way, that should frighten them. Because in my opinion, the show is the same as it's ever been. It's always uncomfortable. It always, like, there's an episode in season 6 about people's obsession with true crime dramas and serial killer stories that get turned into TV shows and win awards and blah, 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 all that stuff. Like, if you don't feel like the show is as uncomfortable as it used to be, you have become desensitized to the crazy version of the world we currently live in. To me, I think we're all guilty to a certain extent of becoming desensitized to this crazy world. But if you truly feel like Black Mirror is not scary anymore, that's actually terrifying. Also, horror, fully subjective. Black Mirror never claimed to be a horror show. Again, I feel like it exists in its own genre. It just sort of is whatever that episode is. Maybe it's scary, maybe it's sad, maybe it's happy. maybe it's action-packed, a crazy galaxy adventure. It has a lot of different elements that make each episode unique, to the point that we've got 7 years in before Charlie Brooker went back to one of the episodes and said, there's more here, there's more meat on the bones that I can explore, and there's another story here that maybe I want to dig a little bit deeper. And the USS Callister sequel episode, I will say, lived up to the hype. I didn't know I needed a sequel to that episode, but it's really good. In fact, 2 episodes this season are just full-on movies. They're just 90 minutes. Like, that's not an episode of a TV show. This is, again, when people say that seasons are good or bad or episodes, how many TV episodes are 90 minutes of, like, dramatic television? 90 minutes. Like, that's not normal. Charlie Brooker is doing things that are not normal. Black Mirror is one of those shows that I'm so happy it exists because it's so unique. It truly operates in its own world. And the fact that it shows up when Charlie has an idea for something, that is very, very cool. I feel like in the world now more than ever, we need people like Charlie Brooker who are not afraid to hold a mirror up and show us that something maybe should be terrifying and we're just desensitized to how crazy everything around us has gotten, that it doesn't feel as scary as it should, but also that he's exploring these ideas that, to me, still, there's plenty of what ifs in the Black Mirror universe. Not all of this stuff has happened yet, and Charlie is certainly not afraid to just ask certain questions. I think that's another thing within the Black Mirror show. At certain episodes, I know people feel like they needed more, they wanted more. Sometimes Charlie's asking the question of like, hey, I don't know where this would lead, so I'm not going to pretend I have an answer of what the next 30 minutes should look like. I think that he's really made it quite obvious at this point that the episode's going to be as long as he feels it needs to be. As many ideas as he has, as much as he has to say, and when he feels like he doesn't have anything left to say, that's when the episode's over. Because I remember another creator, Bo Burnham, has a very similar opinion on when he decides to show up and create stuff, and it's really when he feels like he has something worth saying, when he feels like his voice would hold some sort of value in the moment. And if he doesn't feel that way, he's not going to make anything. Charlie Brooker, I think, with the different lengths of these seasons and the different lengths of the episodes and how long in between seasons there is, really he's gonna make something when he feels like he has something worth saying. And if he doesn't, he won't, and if he does, he will. I think each episode of Season 7 of Black Mirror holds its own, has its own aspects of it that make it unique. I think it's very hard for me to rank the episodes. I do think Hotel Riviera is not only one of my favorite episodes of the show, but just an audience reaction to it, and I think a lot of people, it's completely going over their heads. A lot of things that were intended in the episode, like casting 2 people who are not actors or who people don't think are good actors to be in the episode at the same time. Not an accident. Definitely not an accident. Charlie Brooker does not really do things unintentionally. Really, I think that all the episodes this season were fantastic, and they fit perfectly in the universe of Black Mirror, and can't wait for season 8.